Welcome to the Fit Academy podcast. I'm Jennifer Rodriguez, Education Coordinator for Credit.org. This podcast is designed to help you increase your financial fitness, and it's also a great complement to your physical fitness as well. So give us a listen while you're at the gym or walking your dog or at any time you want to give your wallet a workout. Today we're going to talk about building wealth and saving money. The thing that's critical to understand is saving isn't the same as building wealth. In fact, there are times when you can lose money, but still build wealth. So first, let's go ahead and talk about saving money. We're big proponents of saving money. We work with America Saves to sponsor Inland Empire Saves and San Diego Saves. For 2022, we were named an America Saves Saving Champion organization. We're proud of that accomplishment, and all of that goes to say that we believe that saving money is crucial, and we want to see everyone save money. For one thing, saving money means that you have funds to get through an emergency. The standard advice from financial experts is to save 3 to 9 months' income in a savings account so you can get through a period of unemployment. A critical part of emergency savings is avoiding debt. So if you have emergency funds, you can pay for unexpected emergency expenses rather than resort to using credit cards to get by. What qualifies as a genuine emergency is a whole podcast topic in itself, but think of anything that prevents you from earning an income as a true emergency that justifies dipping into emergency savings. If you don't have those emergency savings and you use a credit card, you are set back not just by the debt, but by all the future interest you'll pay towards the debt. So while saving money is vital, it's not really a way to build wealth. True wealth means creating some kind of future asset or income stream that will benefit you beyond just today. So let's say you become a driver for Lyft or Uber, but you don't have a car. You might borrow money for a reliable used car to use for your new job. In short term, you're financially worse off because you have a car payment to make every single month. But as long as you earn enough from your driving job to live and pay your car payment, then you're actually building wealth. As long as you take good care of it, that car is an asset that will help you earn into the future even after it's paid off. The same might go for a college degree. It's expensive up front and leaves you worse off financially, but over a lifetime, you earn much more money with that degree than you would without one. That's building wealth. One way a lot of us build wealth is through retirement savings. A portion of our paychecks go directly to 401k or other retirement accounts, and maybe our employer matches a portion of that contribution. Those retirement funds will fluctuate in value like any financial market, so the total value of your 401k might drop from one month to the next. Sometimes we're shocked to see how much value our retirement loses when the stock market takes a dip, but as long as we're still actively contributing to the fund, drops in value are a good thing. When the value of your 401k drops, the next time you contribute, you get more shares. And over time, the value of the fund will tend to go up. That means every drop in value is an opportunity to build more wealth the next time you contribute, even if you've lost some money in the short term. Really, the only people who need to be concerned about drops in value to their retirement accounts are retired people and people on the verge of retirement. If you've got a good financial planner, then you're probably ready for this. A competent advisor will shift your retirement investments towards a high-yield savings account or savings bond. These savings vehicles will earn you less money, but they'll be less susceptible to drops in the market. The main takeaway from all this is that saving is critical, but once you've established savings to cover your emergency funds and short-term goals, you should look for more long-term ways to build wealth. And in the long term, don't worry about losing money today if those moves set you up to generate wealth over time. Now let's talk to an expert guest. Joining us again today is Jeff Michael. He's a personal financial author and is a contributor to the book Tips from the Top, Targeted Advice from America's Top Money Minds, edited by Eddie Milligan. Hi, Jeff.
Hi again, Jennifer.
So my first question is about building wealth. What is the best way for the average consumer to build wealth?
To get right to it, the answer is home ownership. Buying a home helps you in multiple ways. You get this valuable asset that grows in value over time, and you avoid mortgage or rent payments in retirement if you pay off the home over time. We've seen recently that home ownership is a good hedge against inflation. So even if you still have a mortgage debt, The debt is smaller in real terms as the value of dollars goes down. The other thing to consider is a home that's worth, say, $200,000 is more valuable in itself than $200,000 worth of stock certificates because you can live in the house. You can't live in a stock portfolio.
Are there ways to build wealth that are non-monetary?
It's a misnomer to say that economics is about money. What economics is about is value. And there are things that we value that are hard to put a dollar amount on, but they do represent a form of wealth. One thing people talk about is health wealth. If you have the capacity to eat healthy, exercise regularly, you enjoy the benefits of good health and vitality, and it would be very hard to quantify in dollars and cents what being mentally and physically healthy is worth from day to day, but it's something we should all strive for. Economists talk a lot about trade-offs. One person who's willing to commute to work every day might earn more money than someone who telecommutes. But the person working from home might be perfectly happy to pass up that extra income if they don't have to have a car or get to be closer to their loved ones all day or don't contribute to carbon in the atmosphere because they aren't driving every day. For someone like that, building intellectual capital by getting a good education gives them more choices. And even the choice to earn less money and not have to drive to work every day makes them wealthier.
That seems to redefine what it means to be wealthy. It's not just about how much money you've accumulated.
Right. Some assets, like a house or land holdings, we would count toward your wealth, and you could certainly put a dollar value on that. Or your college degree. We say officially someone with a useful degree earns around $1 million more over their lifetime than a high school graduate. So you can put a dollar amount on those forms of wealth, but think about the ability to quit a job you don't like. If you have strong transferable skills or a good education, it's easier to go back out on the job market, apply for a different job. That mobility, the freedom to say, I quit, is a kind of wealth that I don't know how to put a dollar amount on. There's a lot to be said for having free time, for creative endeavors, to pursue your passions, or spend time with your family. Anyone listening to this podcast would have used an app that offers thousands upon thousands of free podcasts to listen to, most of which don't really earn any money for their creators. It's just people who are passionate about something, so they make a podcast about it so they can share what they care about. And having the time to create a podcast about something you love, that is wealth. Any one of us could go out and get a second part-time job if we cared more about money than anything else. But most of us choose to go home from work and spend time with our loved ones. That's a form of wealth.
Are there any downsides to building wealth as opposed to saving?
I wouldn't say downsides, but a trade-off would be risk. Things you do to build wealth are risky. You're foregoing rewards today to build something greater over the long term. But if you're not careful, that could leave you vulnerable if something should go wrong. Putting money in a savings account is a lot less risky than long-term investing, but the longer term your investing is, the less risky it is. Liquidity is another concept we talk about. Your savings fund is liquid. You can get at that money anytime you need it. Your investments can be harder to cash out if you end up needing them. So we really want people to start with savings so they have a safe, liquid fund in place before they commit to long-term wealth building.
Okay, last question, Jeff. How should we regard debt in all of this? When should we use debt to build wealth, if ever? And how do we balance paying off debt versus saving and investing for the future?
Since we recommend home ownership as part of anyone's financial plan, I'd say we recommend that everyone use debt to build wealth. It's very rare that you would buy a house outright. You're going to have a mortgage loan that you're paying off even while you build equity in the home. So in that sense, everyone should be using debt to build wealth. Another common way to use debt to build wealth is student loans, but we also have to reassess that whole concept in light of recent events. It used to be the advice was just go to college, don't worry what it costs, don't worry where you go, just get the degree and borrow if you have to, because you'll earn enough money to pay it off. Then that's changed over the last few years. Now we have a student debt crisis where not every degree is worth borrowing for. So you have to look at your student loans more critically. If the degree is one that will help you launch a lucrative career, then you can safely borrow. But if your degree is an elective and you're in a field that's highly competitive, then you should find a way to pay for school without using debt because your income might not justify that kind of loan. It's also important here to understand the sheepskin effect. That's where you get this tremendous boost in your lifetime earning potential if you get a college degree, but only if you graduate. That means if you go to school for 3.5 years and drop out at the last minute, you lose that lifetime of earning potential, even though you might have borrowed the same amount as someone who completed school. That tells us the degree is the thing that increases your earning potential, not the education. See, so you can audit classes at most colleges for free, but employers don't take that into account when they're hiring you. So if borrowing for college is going to be worth it financially, you have to complete the degree. Another way to borrow toward wealth building is a small business loan. Now, this can be a great way to build wealth through borrowing, but of course, you have to have a business plan. You have to be ready to do a lot of work building a business and not earning a lot of money at first. Banks typically do a good job of vetting borrowers before they hand out business loans, but there is always risk. Like if you consider the COVID-19 pandemic, the National Restaurant Association has estimated that 90,000 restaurants shut down due to pandemic lockdowns in 2020. So that's a lot of business loans that are probably going to default. So we're saying, yes, use debt to build wealth, but only very carefully. Have a plan and do things the right way. There are financial gurus out there telling people to get home equity loans and invest with that money. We can't stress enough what a bad idea that is. Do not put your home at risk in that way. Looking at the market right now, anyone who used home equity to invest is in real trouble. Ditto with student loans. Over the past few years, we've had people advising others use student loans to buy Bitcoin. Your takeaway from all this should be use debt for its intended purpose. Use business loans to start a business, use mortgages to buy a house, use student loans to get a valuable education. And home equity loans, you can use those to improve your house, but don't use them to invest in a risky asset, as no one would agree to loan you the money in the first place if they knew you were just going to go buy cryptocurrency with it. The other part of your question, how much should we save versus how much do we use to pay down debt? That's a very big topic. Everyone's individual situation is different. So someone with really expensive debts might prioritize repayment over building wealth. But our take is that everyone should always be saving something. So some portion of your income should be saved until you completely build up a full emergency savings fund and then start investing or building toward wealth enhancing purchases like a down payment at home or a business loan. And of course, throughout all that, you're paying down your debt. The balance of how much you put toward debt versus savings will just change based on how expensive is that debt and how much of it is there. Most people are probably going to start with something like 85% going toward debt repayment and 15% going into savings. And over time, it should gradually become 100% going into savings because you've paid off your debt. And of course, you're not going to go out and borrow more. So the goal is to eventually be a person who's simply saving for the future and isn't in the hole financially with something like credit card debt.
Thanks, Jeff. Summing up today, I'd say priority number 1 is to save. Save money so you have an emergency fund, regardless of whether you're earning a return on those savings. Number 2 is to pay down debt. Every dollar you owe is money you can't use productively. And number 3 is building wealth. Investing or putting aside money in a way that helps you maintain your financial freedom. We think homeownership is the best way to do this, but whatever method you use, add wealth building to your financial plan after you've established savings and eliminating your debt. Speaking of debt, anytime you need help, we're available online at credit.org. Until next time, thanks for listening.